Know this situation all too well. Your app needs to generate some kind of file on the fly, maybe it's an invoice PDF, a report, or a QR code, and then you gotta serve it up to the user. It sounds simple, right? But there's this really common trap that a ton of people fall into.
So what do? You generate the file, grab a signed URL from your cloud storage, and boom, you send it to the user. Job done. Or is it? Well, not quite. That quick and easy way, it's actually a hidden ticking time bomb. Seriously, it's going to cause major headaches, dead links, maybe even security issues down the road. So let's break down exactly why this is such a trap, and more importantly, how to build this thing like a pro from the get-go.
Okay, the entire problem boils down to what you see right here. On the left, you've got the naive approach. This is where you save that temporary, expiring URL straight into your database. And that link, well, it's basically designed to die. It's a disaster waiting to happen. But on the right, that's the professional approach. We save a permanent file path. The URL? Oh, that's just a disposable thing we create on the fly, only when someone actually needs it. This one little change in thinking, it's the key to everything. It's a total game changer.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, the solution is surprisingly elegant. It's all about separating our logic into two totally distinct functions. Think of it like this. One function's job is to create the asset, and the other's job is to serve it. That's it. This separation, this is what makes the whole system clean, super scalable, and just reliable.
Let's put a little story to this, make it easy to remember. Our first function, we'll call it the factory. Its whole job is to take the raw materials, your data, and manufacture the final product. Then it stores it away, nice and secure. Then you have the second function. We'll call this one the valet. The valet doesn't make anything. Nope. It just goes and retrieves that stored item for the user whenever they ask for it, handing them a temporary key, that's our signed URL, so they can get access.
All right, let's get our hands dirty and see how this actually works in practice. First up, the factory. This is where all the real heavy lifting happens. Its entire purpose in life is to create the asset, get it ready, and then tuck it away safely for long-term storage.
So the factory's process is pretty straightforward. First, it gets the post data. Then it renders an initial SVG from that data. And this next part is really important. It converts that SVG into other handy formats like PNG and JPG. Then it takes all of those files and uploads them to a private cloud storage bucket. And here it is, the absolute most critical step of all. It saves the permanent, unchanging file paths, not the temporary URLs, into our database. That's the secret sauce right there.
Now you might be thinking, hang on, why create 3 different formats? And that's a great question. It's all about being practical. See, SVG is awesome for web layouts because it can scale up or down forever without losing quality. PNG, that's your go-to for QR codes. It's super sharp, which means it scans reliably. And JPG? Well, JPG is kind of for backward compatibility, for those older systems that might throw a fit with the other formats. But you gotta be careful. Its compression can sometimes mess up a QR code. By making all 3, you're basically making sure your asset is gonna work no matter where it's used.
So once the factory's done all that hard work, what does it actually send back to your app? This is key. It does not send back a bunch of URLs. Instead, it gives you a reference. Think of it like a claim ticket. You get a document ID and the permanent storage paths for the files it just made. The response is basically saying, hey, your stuff's ready. I've put it away safely. Here's the ticket you need to find it later.
Okay, the factory has done its job. Now it's time to bring in our second character, the valet. The valet function is lean, it's fast, and it's all about security. Its one and only job is to be the gatekeeper, handing out temporary keys to the assets our factory has already tucked away.
And the valet's process? It's just beautifully simple. Your app comes up and hands it that claim ticket, the document ID. The valet takes that ID, goes to the database to look up the permanent file paths, and then, and only then, does it generate brand new, super short-lived signed URLs for each file. This happens fresh, every single time a user needs access. No stale links.
And this is what finally gets sent to the user's browser or their phone. A nice, clean little package with fresh temporary URLs that are going to expire in, maybe 15 minutes. If the user needs that same file an hour from now, no problem. The app just calls the valet again and gets a brand new set of links. The result? No dead URLs. Ever. Pretty cool, huh?
Okay, so you might be thinking, is all this really worth the trouble setting up 2 functions? And the answer is Absolutely yes. The benefits are massive. This approach solves every single problem that the naive way creates. This, right here, is what a professional, scalable system really looks like.
Let's just quickly run through all the wins here. First, your assets are generated and stored securely on the back end away from prying eyes. Second, your storage bucket stays private and protected. Huge security win. Third, your database has permanent, reliable paths, which means, say it with me, no more dead links. Your app gets fresh, temporary URLs every single time it asks. And the whole thing? It's built to scale. It's clean, it's professional, and trust me, it's going to save you from some serious refactoring nightmares down the line.
You know, to really make this concept stick, let's use a super simple analogy. Let's think of this whole setup as a cloud kitchen. It's actually a perfect mental model for this kind of architecture.
So your first function, our factory, that's the kitchen. That's the busy workspace. It takes all the raw ingredients, which is your data, and it does all the cooking to prepare the final meal, which in our case is the QR code, the invoice, whatever file it is you're making.
And what about your cloud storage bucket? Easy. That's your freezer. As soon as the meal is cooked, it goes straight into the freezer. It's stored securely, privately, and it's there for the long haul. And here's the key rule. Nothing ever goes directly from the freezer to the customer.
And finally, what's our database in this analogy? It's the label you stick on the food container. It's the critical index. It doesn't have the food in it, right? It just has the information about the food. It tells you exactly what's in the freezer and where to find it. Because without that label, your freezer is just a chaotic, useless mess.
Look, if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this sentence right here. Signed URLs are disposable. Permanent paths are forever. That's it. Build your entire system around that one simple truth, and you'll be golden.
You know, we've been talking a lot about QR codes here, but this pattern is so much bigger than that. It's incredibly powerful. So the last thing I want to leave you with is a question. Think about your own apps right now. What other files are you generating? Invoices? User reports? Event tickets? Are you handling any of them with that risky, naive approach? Because if you are, it might be time to send them to the factory and get them a proper